Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day, good moment to you. This is a Father's Day drop, a drop of fathering. I invite you to let your breath settle you in a little more deeply into this body, this moment, this Father's Day, and let the flute open your heart and bring you in. I suppose this really is an eye drop because I'm going to invite you to see and feel one way that you've been fathered that you loved. Maybe it was like me learning to ride a bicycle. Maybe it was learning to fish. Maybe it was learning to drive. Maybe it was some other teaching moment. Maybe it was just sitting outside with your dad, watching the sun go down, shooting the breeze, or being quiet. I don't know, whatever it is for you. And if it wasn't with your biological dad or adopted dad, if it was someone else who fathered you, to remember one thing they did with you. And it may have been someone of a different gender who fathered you, who had your back, who protected you, who provided for you, who was there for you. Just dropping in to that feeling. Or maybe it was you. Really feeling this in all of your body, in every cell. This feeling of being fathered. And if you've never experienced it, I invite you, I double dog dare you to make it up. What would fathering feel like to you? And just be in that. And maybe it was a moment you couldn't really let in. And now you can receive it a little more. And even if you did let it in, can you squeeze a little more juice out of this memory, out of this act of love? Maybe even there was a moment when your dad, my dad was kind of a Marlboro man. He didn't use a lot of words a lot of times and didn't feel like he could express his feelings. And when my grandfather, my mom's dad, died, I was with my dad. I was with my grandfather when he died and was my dad. And we went outside, and I remember we were like standing in the middle of the rose garden, and it felt like my dad was maybe hiding a little bit. And he was crying, and he kept apologizing for his tears. And I think I loved him as much in that moment as I ever did him apologizing for his own vulnerability, for his love, for his wife's dad. That really moved me. Was there a moment when your dad or whoever fathered you in whatever way was vulnerable, allowed themselves to be vulnerable, and that connected you more? I invite you to receive that a little more. And if you're a dad and you had a moment like that and part of you is like, I wish I hadn't, I invite you to consider and entertain and invite the possibility that that may have been one of the greatest gifts you could have given that person in your care, in your protection that you loved. I suddenly remember the quote, "No man stands so tall as he who stoops to help a child." How did the person who fathered you stand that tall for you or for someone else? I invite you to drink that in as well. And how have you done that for someone else? And how can you do that for you? How can you be your own father in the moments your father isn't available or if your father has passed? In what ways can you be there for you? And it might even look like the vulnerable thing that you're afraid makes you weak. That is the tallest part of you bending down to help the smallest part of you. I invite you to just consider what that might be. And I wish you a happy Father's Day. And I wish for you that if you haven't thought of it, I hadn't until this morning, you contemplate how you might father yourself. What would that look like? What would you love? What would it feel like? And how can you practice receiving that from anyone who offers you the energy of fathering? How can today you acknowledge those who do and have with your gratitude? And if you are a father, how can you receive a little more? Not just brush it aside. Oh, yeah, no. Oh, thank you. And know that in the moments where you allow yourself to be vulnerable, we love you even more. And can you take that in? I double dog dare you. So happy Father's Day. May you receive a little more fathering. If you are a father, may you receive a little more deeply appreciation for the fathering you have offered and let go of any harshness you have held around your fathering. No one of us is perfect. We're all human. And it's human to receive as well as to give. So I invite you to receive a little more, especially if that's been challenging for you. And to have a beautiful Father's Day, to offer your gratitude, your gratefulness for the ways you've been fathered, and to receive gratefulness from others for the way you have fathered them, no matter what form that has taken. Thank you for joining me. Have a beautiful and blessed Father's Day. And may you feel protected, held, like somebody, even you, has your back. I'm Julie Ling. Let your heart, your fathering, your receiving of fathering, a little more sing.